everyone, welcome back. It's Comics with Callaway, back with another video. It's been a while since my last one, been a little busy and things like that. But this is AQUAMAN Deep Dives, the digital first, but printed first, AQUAMAN Deep Dives, issue 9. And this one, along with the last Superman one and the one before that with the Aquaman, now they've split the 17-page digital books into like two 8-page stories, and it's okay for $1.99 here in Australia. You get two 8-page stories into one book, so it's okay to pay $1.99, $1.50 and get a review out of it and get a good story. They're pretty good. This issue was really good. We have two different stories. We have story 1 from Tom Taylor and Pop Marn. So Pop Marn, he's been doing a couple of these Aquaman books, and his art is fantastic. His art really, and the colorist on these Aquaman books is really, really good. But Tom Taylor's 8-issue thing in this, it's a Lex Luthor story, and it's actually pretty good. And normally I won't buy any book that's got Tom Taylor's name on it. Read his Marvel stuff, and it's just like, yeah, no thanks, never again. And I know people say his deceased run, his deceased books at DC are really good, but I'm not really into the whole zombie, dark, whatever that sort of, stuff is. I'm not really into that. So if this was a $3.99 book and it was a Tom Taylor story, I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't buy it. But it was actually pretty good, and I'll explain and I'll talk about that as well. And then the second story is from Andrea Shea, and it's drawn by Isaac Goodhart, and really good, different style artist, different style colorist, and it was really good too. And I'll explain in this book how the two different stories I'll kind of contradict myself a little bit, and before you rush to judging in the comics and tear me to pieces for contradiction myself, just keep watching until I get to the second story, and I'll try and explain it, and hopefully I'll get my point across, that I won't sound like a total douche. And the second story with Andrea Shea, it's a Tula and Mera sort of girls' night out, but it's not really a girls' night out as Tula was expecting. So two good stories. It was really good. I'll get into it. So the first one, now Aquaman fans will probably really appreciate these first 2 pages and actually think it's really, really good. And if you're a true Aquaman fan, you'll really love it. Whereas, people that aren't really Aquaman fans, that, hear the stigma about Aquaman, oh, you can talk to fish, you can, from the Super Friends days, and just the stigma that Aquaman gets, which I've never understood it. I've always loved Aquaman ever since I first read it. He can survive the depths. He's, bulletproof. He can be dangerous. He can be vicious. He can be, he does what he wants. He's a strong character, and he's got a lovely wife. So I've never really understood the hate, and I think a lot of the hate for Aquaman, it comes from people not really, for probably one reason, they're not into that sort of stuff, so they don't really give him a chance. And then there's the people that just aren't into Aquaman and don't really like it, and then there's the ones that think, oh, it's just a shitty character. He talks to fish, I'm not going to give it a go. But I know myself, when I first started reading Aquaman, before I even read an issue, I'm like, Aquaman, nah. But then once you read it, and I read a few different stories, and it just fell in love with the character right from the start. And earlier when I said I'm going to contradict myself is, one thing I love about Aquaman books is what got me into Aquaman, not only just the story and the Mera and all the lore of Aquaman, is the art and the colors that really sucked me in and got me hooked into Aquaman. So my taste in the art, I'm not really one for like the scratchy sort of dull kind of art. Like a Batman story, it's a dark and edgy art and colors for Batman are more dark and edgy and not bright and colorful. So whereas my taste, I've always liked the clean lines, bright colors, and that really attract you in, that really suck you in, and that's something I fell in love with Aquaman. Is with Aquaman you can really, with the mythos and the Atlantis underwater and the blue ocean and coral reefs, like we do. I don't know if people in Australia, if you've been to Australia and been to the Great Barrier Reef and stuff, when you go under the water, the colours and just it's hypnotizing, and it will blow your mind. Like the colours underwater it's spectacular, and that's one thing I really got sucked in with Aquaman is you in the because of the type of character and the environment and underwater in Atlantis, the bright colors and pretty colors and beautiful clean art and stuff really stands out for Aquaman. So that's one thing that I really what sucked me in. So keep remembering that when, as I've just said, and I'll sort of contradict myself a little bit in the next story, but not so much. But you'll understand why if you keep watching and get to the second story of the book. I'll sort of I'll contradict myself a little bit, but it's not. I'm not gonna. It's not like I'm making a fool of myself. I'll try not to. I hope I don't come across as a douche saying this, but just keep watching and we'll get into it. So, man, that was a bit of a tangent, wasn't it? So we start off with this story with Luther, and getting back to my point, if I was to explain this first story to someone who's not really an Aquaman fan that sort of agrees with the stigma of he can talk to fish, that's a stupid character. Who wants to talk to fish? So if you were to explain this to like that type of person, that type of fan, this book wouldn't help them. This book wouldn't help you bring them in as a fan. But so this fish here, this little fishy here, he's dying, and he's swimming across kilometers of miles of underwater to find help, and he finds Aquaman, and you get to this little thing, you get to this here, and he's like, "Home, help!" And Aquaman's like, "You have found help, you." And then you get this panel here. The poor little fishy dies in Aquaman's hands, and this is where I'm going to actually give Tom Taylor a bit of credit, because I actually really liked his book, his 8 issue. It was really good. See, to me, being an Aquaman fan, this little storyline about a fish dying in his hands and Aquaman being all heartbroken about a dying fish, that's what really pulls me in as an Aquaman fan. And it's just something I think Aquaman fans would appreciate this first couple of pages, where if you try and explain these first two, if you go to the comic shop with your friend and he's not really an Aquaman fan, and you say, "Oh, I read the latest issue, the first couple of pages, Aquaman was all heartbroken over a fish dying in his hands," and your friend wasn't really an Aquaman fan, he'd probably just laugh at you. But if you are a true Aquaman fan, I think you would like this 8 pages of Tom Taylor's book. I think you'd really like it. So Aquaman, he's listening to the fish, and he's he's like so much pain, so much fear. He can feel it all. So they go on a quest to find out what's happened to this fish. He says here, he's pushed himself to the limits to find us. It's incredible how far he came. And Mara's like, where did he come from? And Arthur's like, somewhere warm, then through cold currents and over an abyss. And Mara's like, what is it, Arthur? And he's like, it's deafening, so much fear, so much pain, the sea. And we go to the next page. Come on, fellas. And this is where the Lex Luthor story comes. So Lex Luthor has scored a contract to dig the sea, the surface of the ocean. And they're like, satellites have picked up 2 unidentified objects coming in fast, 100 nautical miles out. Mr. Luthor. And he's like, you would think, given the money I've paid for this operation, you could do it better than unidentified. We have cameras, sonar, satellites. Can none of this cutting-edge technology tell the difference between torpedoes and fish? Whatever they are, they're on a collision course to the deep sea miner. So it's Luthor. he's digging up the ocean floor, and in his mind, he's got the grant, he's got the approval from the government to dig the depths of the ocean, and Aquaman and Mera don't like it. They hate Luther for it, and there's probably only one thing I didn't like about Tom Taylor's dialogue in this is Aquaman keeps calling Lex Luthor in this issue a surface dweller, and we all know like surface dwellers are people that aren't from Atlantis. But I feel like with Arthur being the Justice League, being friends with Superman and the Justice League and all that, and knowing Lex Luthor is this big villain, I don't think he would. I didn't think he would call him a surface dweller. I would have figured that Aquaman Arthur would call Lex Luthor by Luthor like Superman does. I just figured like Luthor's got that much of a presence. He's not just a stranger, and he's not just another surface dweller digging. So Aquaman would know who Luthor is. So I figured like he would call him by his name, Luthor. And so they get into Aquaman and Mera get in a big battle with him, and Luthor's got his men, and they're like, open fire, fire. So we get a bit of a fight scene between them, and I love this. This page is so much fun. You come to my kingdom and tear apart homes. You displace, you murder, and Luthor's like, they're fish. And he's like, I paid handsomely for. He's like, you're used to getting your own way, but your wealth means nothing here. You think you have a right to the deep. I have as much right to it as, and he gets interrupted. He says, you think this is your world? Then take a breath. So he's ripped out his breathing mask and that, and he's like, if you think you own the depth, breathe the water. It's like that 4 panels. Just I give Tom Taylor credit. This one page just completely like completely just debunked Luthor saying if you can't breathe underwater, you have no right here to dig. I really like that. And then he throws him to the surface, and this is where he calls him the surface dweller, I think. And he's like, "You disgust me. You are choking on the poison and the plastics you discard. But that's not enough. You create new ways to demonstrate your contempt. You build monstrosities that tear the sea floor from beneath its feet." And Luthor's, you cannot stop progress. You cannot stop me. And Mera's like, oh, shut up, you arrogant sack of entitlement. Well, that is classic Mera. Just, boom, hit him where it hurts. Just straight up, just rip him to pieces. He's like, you think you're powerful, surface dweller. And I feel like Aquaman would have said Luthor there, but that's neither here nor there. Your progressive has doomed you. Your borders are shrinking as our kingdom grows. The seas are rising and angry. And then Aquaman and that lead, and like, you will be swallowed one day soon, and you will not be remembered. So it was really good. Like we got the first couple of pages where Aquaman's emotional over a fish and a fish dying. It just sort of shows his character. He doesn't just love humans; he loves all animals and all species. And then we get the battle with Lex Luthor, and then Mera being Mera, she's fighting by her husband's side, and then we get that one line. Oh, shut up, you arrogant sack of walking entitlement. Just that is Mera, isn't it? Like that is Mera to a T. Just straight down the line, straight to the horse. Like just shut the hell up, So good story. It's only 8. I would have actually liked the full 25 pages of this, and this is probably the first bit of writing I actually like of Tom Taylor's. So maybe the editors at DC are a bit better than the editors at Marvel. So. Yeah, so now we'll go to the next page, the next story, and this one is by Andrea, I think it was Andrea Shea, and drawn by Isaac Goodhart, and the colours are done by Chris Peter, and the colours in the first one, Tom Taylor, was colours by Rex Locus. So this is where I'm going to contradict myself a little bit, and I hope I get my point across right, where I don't sound like a douche. Remember when I said one appealing thing to me from Aquaman, was how you can get these really bright colors. Like think of the Aquaman movie. It was all with James Wan and Jason Momoa. Like it was real colorful when Aquaman first went to Atlantis. The colors, like what James Wan done with the Atlantis, was just freaking like wow, like just the bright colors. And that is one thing I love about Aquaman comics is you can really do bright colors and you can do clean line work. You can do, and it can just suck you in. Whereas this one, this art was a bit more different. This was the art, the line work, the art in this issue was fantastic, but the colors were a little bit different. So the colors they're not so bright and colorful. They're a bit more flatter. Like they look like a bit like water-based color sort of thing, and like it almost gives the characters in the book in the issue gives them a bit like freckly skin, like you would normally see like with redhead women and stuff. They get freckly skin. Like I got some family members in my family that are really light coloured skin, but they're real freckly, and that's kind of what this gives off. But I really actually loved it. Like even though you look at that page there and the colours are really bright and colourful, but it's a different kind of colour. Like it's not the bright skin colour. Like they've sort of toned it down and they've given it this darky, purpley, freckly effect. And like here, like you see here, like it's just it's bright and colourful, but it's not so bright. Like it's actually it's like a dull bright to me. I hope I'm making sense, but it just it really was really what's the way to explain it? It's pleasant on the eyes. It's not like when you open some comic books and the colours and stuff are so bright and so contrast, kind of like new cell phones where the screens are so clear and the colours on your phone screen are really they're not naturalized color. They're really contrasting. Like pinks are really really pink and blues are really really, really blue. And that's one with Aquaman you can sort of get away with that because of the location of Atlantis and just the character in the universe. Whereas this the color is just a little bit more dull and pleasant on the eyes, kind of like when you go outside in the sun. Where if you go out in like in North Queensland, it's just sunny all the time. So when you go outside, you got to wear dark glasses. So this was kind of like that. It was just really pleasant on the eyes to look at, and it was just for some reason I really felt just in a couple of pages of this 8 issue, just a really like just you see it just they're not the skin tone is just a little bit more duller and just really pleasant on the eyes. Mara here, she nice ass here, but see here like she's not just the normal yellowy skin tone that you for white people that you get in comics. It's more this purpley bluey color, and I don't know. I really fell in love with this art as soon as I got to this second story on this issue. There was something about it. So this is what I sort of meant when I contradicted myself, whereas I fell in love with Aquaman for the bright, for one part of the reason is bright colors and the beautiful art, whereas this story here was just the colorist really suited this art style, and it just was really pleasant to read. Like it was just so sexy. The colorist and the art was it was so sexy on the eyes, and um, just really made this second story in this book really so much fun to read. So righto, that's another tangent out of the way. Thanks for sticking with me. We're 19 minutes in and we're still going on a 17-page book. So this story was about Mara inviting Tula on for a girls' night out, and Tula being like every other normal probably human being, when you say a night out, it usually means you're going out to get blotto drunk and have a wild night. Whereas this one, she's breaking into the what was it? The Royal Vault. They're breaking into the Royal Vault, the castle, whatever it is. And not Aquaman, Mara wants to steal something, and she needs Tula's handprint to get in. So she's lied to to Tula, say, "I need your help. We're we're going to have a girls' night out, but really it was Mara trying to break in and steal something, but she used Tula as a patsy, and she needed her help to get it done. But it's a bit of a plot twist. They get to it, and we get to this page, and Tula's like, "That's not Atlantean jewelry," and Mara's like, "No, it's not." And she said, "These are missing pieces from my mother's betrothal set. I don't know how you pronounce that word. Betrothal set. Before the Atlantean Royal Guard plundered Zebel's waters on one of their many raids, it was intended for me upon my wedding day. My people's anger at Arthur was misdirected." So this is a bit of a flashback where we all know Mara's backstory is she was sent from Zebel to kill King Arthur, to kill Aquaman, but when she found him helping, I think it was a bunch of killer whales, orcas, helping them get free back into the ocean, they were stuck. She fell in love with him. So she was intended to kill him, but she ended up falling in love with him. And she says, "But at the time, from under the heel of an Atlantean boot, it seemed the only option. I brought you with me because I trust you, Tula. I thought you might understand." And she's like, "I had no idea." And Mary's like, "I know." And she's like, "I'm sorry." And then Mary's like, "I know." And Tula said, "You could have just asked me for help." And Mary said, I don't think I would have known how." And then we get this beautiful, just the emotion in this panel. Mary's holding her necklace, and Tula's there, having a bit of an emotional moment. And then they have a hug. And we all know Mary's not the kind to do a hug. And she's like, "You look like you didn't enjoy that." And Mary's like, "I don't believe I did." And Tula's like, "We don't ever have to do that again." And Mary's like, "Thank you." That was funny. So at the start of this 8 pages, Mara and Tula didn't really see eye to eye, and Tula thought that Mara was just using her, but she was using her. She needed her handprint to get into the vault, but then she also wanted to do this as a bit of a bond. Mara knew that she had to bond with Tula. She wanted to get to know her. They wanted to have a relationship. So she also used it as a bonding experience. And she's like, "This brooch, it belonged to my mother's sister. If you'd allow me to just," and then she puts it on her collarbone thing here. She says, "I suspected you'd wear it well, and I was right, as often as I am," because Mary's always right. "You really believe a place called Vegas would have been more enjoyable than this?" And she's like, "I probably think it would have been, yeah." Because the joke was, Tula said, "Why couldn't we just go to Vegas? I thought that's where we're going. Why couldn't we just go to Vegas and get drunk?" And instead, Mara's idea of a good time is breaking into a vault and stealing jewelry, even though the jewelry was hers. So this was another fun issue. So all in all, Tom Taylor's 8-page run, and then this one was really, really good. So, and I hope I explained myself well with contradicting myself with this color palette and this art and this second page story. Like, it's just like, look at the color. It's just that's just sexy to look at. That's just gorgeous to look at. The clean artwork, the skin palette of the skin tone. It's just, and the hair is different. It's not just this bright red. It's like a sort of duller red and orange that really pops in your eyes. And yeah, really loved it. So again, I would never buy anything Tom Taylor normally, but this eight pages of his was really good. The Lex Luthor story. So anyway, guys, that's the video. What are we at? Jesus, we're at 25 minutes, and normally I only do about 10 minutes for a comic review, but I just wanted to give my opinion and explain, about this book. So we had a couple of tangents together talking about this book, and I hope you enjoyed it. Leave the comments if you disagree or if you agree with me. Let me know. It helps me get better at videos by getting feedback. And yeah, guys, that's it. Comics with Callaway. Like, subscribe to the channel, be much appreciated. Hit the like, share the videos, help me get my name and the channel out there and get some followers, and we'll build a channel together. So thanks, guys, and I'll see you at the next one.